Hi, my name is Lena. I'm the founder of Go Running Tours, and thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Go Running Talks. Today, my guest is Marc, who's a Go Running Tours guest who's been running with us in Barcelona. And before I start asking you all these questions, Marc, I would love for you to just briefly introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share. My name is Mark. I live in North Carolina in the States, near Charlotte, in a small town called Davidson, and been running for a long time and had an awesome experience with your company and with your guide in Barcelona a couple years ago. And it's something that is a fond memory. And when you asked if I'd be interested in coming on, I absolutely jumped at the chance.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you, because up until now, we just interviewed the guides, and that's of course great to sort of show the engine room of the company. But I also think half of the experiences that we'll give are, of course, the guests. So you guys are super important part of the company, and also just our story and the success. So perfect. Excellent. Thank you. It is, of course, a running podcast. We talk a lot about running. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about your running, what you as a runner, and how did you get into running?
Yeah, so for a long time, I've been running at different levels and amounts over the years, but started, probably as young as 8 to 10 years old. My parents were both casual recreational runners and started running, 5Ks and 10Ks for fun, and eventually got serious about it and ran both high school and college cross country and track. Not at a super high level, but competitive, and enjoyed that experience tremendously. I've always loved running and the running community, and of course the fitness aspect of it, the benefits and both physical and mental health.
Hmm.
Took some time off of very little running. About the last 10 to 12 years, I've been trying to get back into it. Middle age now, so a little frustration with some mostly mild injuries, but also frustrating injuries. My knees don't like running on the pavement much, so I try to stay off road as much as possible. But it's been a great outlet and great people, as I mentioned. I plan to continue as long as my knees in particular will let me.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, we're Strava friends. So this is actually the first time we meet sort of online, or at least we see each other's faces moving. And one of the things I'm sometimes intrigued by your updates, but one of the things that says in your I think it's in your name or many of your updates, it says F3 pusher. What does that mean?
So there's an organization that is now worldwide. It started in Charlotte called F3, and it stands for Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith. And it's what I like to describe it as is a men's support group disguised as a fitness group. And so it's all men, it's free, it's peer led. So it's mostly boot camps actually, but there's also running and cycling offshoots. It's now in almost all 50 states in the US, several cities in Europe, I believe in Asia as well. So it's really taken off, and it's been a great outlet for me for both the fitness aspect, but also when I want to discuss something going on in my life that's outside of running, it's a great support group too.
Yeah, fantastic. How did you get into it? Was it a local running group, or how did you get into it?
Yes. Yeah. So it started in Charlotte, and, a friend of mine had been pestering me to come join for a long time. And I didn't answer half of your question. So we all have nicknames. And the pusher is my nickname. And that's because I'm a pharmaceutical rep. So they call me Pusher. And the nicknames are fun. They usually have some like 2 or 3 step removed connection that you have to think about a little bit, but usually on the comedy side. So yeah, that's what F3 is.
Fantastic. I did notice one of your running friends were called Methane, I think, or something like this.
Methane. So he works in landfill work. So methane gas. That's funny that
Fantastic.
that's the one you noticed. That is funny. Any of the men out there listening to your podcast here, I would encourage you to go check it out. F3nation.com. You can find local workouts. They're, like I said, all over, free, generally early morning, 5:30. Probably 75% of it's boot camps, but there's also running and cycling and rucking options as well.
Fantastic. Perfect. So the recommendation is passed on. Fantastic. Another thing, Mark, that I noticed on your Strava is that you have two daughters. I'm guessing late teenage years, early 20s, and they join you sometimes running, sometimes hiking. And as a parent with younger kids, that is definitely, at least for me, but I'm guessing there's a lot more parents out there thinking that would be a dream to be able to share passion as running or being outside with your children. But at that age, it might not always be a sort of a priority. So I'm curious, is it something that your girls have always joined you in? Is it later on as running has sort of become hip and all the youngsters are doing it? Or how did they get into it? And how do you keep it alive?
So great catch. I love that you did all this research through Strava. So 3 daughters actually, so you were close. Um,
Sorry.
and there's a bunch of posts when mostly hiking, as you mentioned. And then, here in the States, we have Thanksgiving coming up, and they've run turkey trots with me a lot of years. And one daughter in particular right now is prepping for that, and we've done a little prep together. They are all 3 off at school, so when I visit them or they come back, a great way to spend time together away from the cell phones and the TV and the distractions is to get out in the woods and hike or go for a trail run, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So it's a great extra benefit of running for sure.
And it's interesting. I actually noticed because I went running with my cousin's daughter and I came back. I think we did an early morning run, and I put in my description saying, "We are in safe hands when this generation starts making their mark." And you commented saying, "I totally agree." And I was like, "All right." And that's actually how I got into it. But that was my follow up question, whether running or hiking was a space to actually have these chats about bigger reflections and thoughts that you wouldn't have normally.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just up in the mountains of North Carolina with my one daughter that goes to college up there, and we took a great hike this past Sunday. And she's in college facing all those kind of challenges and new things, and it was just a great opportunity to discuss that and have some dedicated time
Yeah.
to do that. So
Yeah.
100% agree. And I love too that so I got connected to you on Strava through Mattia, and that's who I did my tour with, and I got to know more about him after the experience in Barcelona through his Strava and his travels. And then I think that's how I got connected to you. And then seeing all your fantastic photos of your vacations and seeing you with your family. It's interesting that Strava, it's definitely a way to log the miles and the keep track of all that, but it's definitely a social connection as well.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely, it's fantastic. I think and now with the messaging as well, it's really becoming sort of fully fledged social media. It's great.
Right. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, getting back into the running, Mark. So, you've been running since you were 8 or 10, you mentioned, and now I don't know your age, but I guess I'm predicting that it's some years that you have of running experience. So, do you have one running memory just stands out as that is my best running memory ever?
Well, there's a lot certainly, and from different time periods, from childhood to more recently. I think a more recent one. I went out to California in the summer of 24, in June of 24, and ran a race called the Dipsy, and it's the oldest trail run in the United States, oldest trail race, and it's been like 115 years or something, and it's just north of San Francisco in this beautiful area, and it's all trails, and it's unique because it utilizes a handicap system. If you're the fastest, you start last,
Oh,
and
okay.
you catch up obviously and pass a lot of people, and it's very extreme up and down. I forget what the elevation change is, but it's like 7 or 8 miles and a lot of up and down. And one of my best friends from growing up lives in the town where it starts, Mill Valley, California. And then another high school track a teammate lives nearby, so the three of us got together last June to run that, and it was just an incredible experience. I had a little bit of I mentioned nagging injuries earlier. About 6 weeks before, I had a calf strain that limited my preparation.
Mm.
So I did fine and got through it, but I'm planning on going back in June of next year to redeem myself, hopefully. So that was a great experience. That's one of my favorite recent running
Yeah.
experiences.
Ex and it's interesting because it's both, the history of the race, it sounds like, it's the race
Mm,
itself, and then the social connection with old friends as well. So it's like all these 3 things wrapped in one.
absolutely.
Incredible. Do you have a worst memory as well? Or did you have a do you I'm sure you have many as well, but
Yeah,
is
and
there one that stands out?
this time going back quite a bit further to high school, and probably some of these worst memories are injury related. Senior year of high school, so you've had your high school career and you're thinking of having your best times and all this in spring of your senior year before you graduate. And I had a great indoor track season and started to notice some foot pain, and eventually got diagnosed with a stress fracture
Oh,
in like March of my senior year of high school. So I missed my entire senior year outdoor track season and was all set to, set some good times and all that. Instead of running, I was walking around in a boot for a couple of months, and that was extremely frustrating. So I'd say that's probably the worst running memory.
yeah, yeah. And have you taken that with you since, sort of maybe stopping a little bit before? I'm guessing when you're young and you're enthusiastic, you're focused on new personal records and so on, and then you get injured because you've probably been training too much. Is it something that you sort of taken with you since and thought, "Okay, I'm gonna stop in time"?
Yeah, and it's gotten worse, unfortunately, with age, because the injuries are more frequent, but I still have the competitive, like, talking about that race in California, I wanna go back and redeem myself. My 2 friends that I mentioned beat me that day,
Yeah,
and that shouldn't be the case in my opinion. So I wanna go back, but I gotta do it in a smart way,
yeah,
in terms of the preparation and
yeah.
build up slowly and those kinds of things. So, yes, it definitely stays with me.
Fantastic. Excellent. So, as mentioned, then you have been a guest of Go Running Tours, and that's how we connected. You ran in Barcelona. I'm always super curious as to what made you book a tour with us.
Yeah, so that was my first time in Europe, and obviously not obviously, but I'm not a Spanish speaker. So the idea of being in a foreign city and not knowing the language and just heading out for a run, I thought, why don't I go with someone that, knows the area and can take me to all the great spots. So it was a bit of that, and I believe I can't remember if I saw a mention of it, your company, I mean, or some sort of, outreach that advertising that you all had done.
Uh,
But I ended up with Mattia, and it was perfect. I mean, he showed me things I would never have seen. I told him I wanted to get down to the harbor, to the water, and maybe be there in time for the sunrise and cover about 10K and just see the sights through a local's eyes. And it was everything I could have hoped for.
Fantastic. And I will say also in Barcelona, we were just on a global team call last night, and Mattia was on the call, and there's always these amazing sunrise pictures from Barcelona. I don't know whether you had one of those as well, but it seems like everyone in Barcelona just has an incredible sunrise.
Yes, our timing was pretty good. It was. So I had told him that was a request, and he says, "Well, we got to start early." I'm like, "That's okay." So, and I thought it was interesting that when you get down there to the water,
Mm.
there's also a bunch of nightclubs and things, and I saw all these people coming out from the clubs at 5:30 in the morning, and I was like, "Mattia, what's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, that's the norm. People don't go out until midnight, and then they're partying and clubbing till the wee hours." I'm like, well, I couldn't handle that lifestyle.
Well, also in Spain, they don't eat until 10 o'clock, right? So they probably do.
Yes, that threw me off because I'm normally asleep at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm the same. We make fun of it also on the calls. Perfect. Well, I'm glad you had a great tour. Mattia has been with us now, I think, for 4 years and has just done an incredible job. He's such a good
Mhm.
colleague and gets raving reviews all the time.
I'm not surprised, and I need to book another tour, so that's on me. It was a great experience, and no matter where I go, part of what I love about travel is just getting up early and getting out on the streets and exploring on my own.
Yeah,
So to have a local guide obviously makes that experience even better.
fantastic. Excellent. So whenever I have these calls, up until now, it's been mostly with guides. I always ask them what why should people go to your city? So we always ask, why should they go to Sydney? Or why should they go to Copenhagen or New York? So you're in Davidson, North Carolina. So tell me, Mark, why should people go and run in Davidson in North Carolina?
So Davidson, it's a suburb of Charlotte, so super easy to get to, big international airport. And Charlotte in general is great because you've got the mountains 2 hours to the west, you've got the beach 2.5 hours to the east. But Davidson in particular is a quaint, small college town. There's a small liberal arts college here, and it's a super active community. So when I go to downtown, where a lot of people launch their runs and cycles and all that, there's dozens and dozens of people out doing whatever their exercise of choice is. And there's so many outdoor areas, whether it's trails or greenways or forests. The college has great cross country trails behind their school that you can cover many miles on great groomed trails. So it's just a super active community and active lifestyle in town that I think people that have gone on some of your tours and are listening would probably appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like the surface is very friendly to aging knees as well and
Yes.
aging body.
Yes, 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 yes.
Excellent. Last question before we finish off. Then, what is, I always ask this to everyone, what is your best advice for a runner? And it can be for a beginner, it can be for a lead runner, it can be to all runners, but really for you as a runner, what is the one advice you would give to other runners?
Um, I guess, you know, there's all and throughout my life, I've been at different stages of my running, um, amount of running I'm doing, the speed of what I'm doing. But if you're getting out there and you're putting one foot in front of the other,
Mm,
and call yourself a runner, you're a runner. Don't ever doubt yourself. There's all kinds of speeds and ways to get out there and do it, but just strive to get better every day. Don't necessarily compare yourself
mm,
to the person next to you for a lot of reasons. But as long as you're improving and setting goals and getting there at your pace and in your schedule, then bravo.
yeah. Absolutely. I fully agree.
Mhm.
Is that something you use as well when you're injured or if you're having, a hard day? Is it something that the advice you give yourself as well?
I think I have to, particularly unfortunately as I age.
Yeah.
I'm now 52 and certainly not as quick as I used to be, and don't
Mm,
have the time to dedicate to it that I used to. But if I set my own goals and reach them and keep moving towards them, then that's my satisfaction.
and even if you don't reach your goals, right, it's still just sort of getting that foot in front of the other. Because sometimes those goals, just something happens, right? And then it's difficult to just getting out there. And I think also you point on something really interesting. The whole people like, I speak to a lot of people, like, I always ask, do you run? They were like, no, 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 I'm not a runner. I do run 5K 4 times a week.
Right.
I
So
think
you
that
are a runner.
classifies as being a runner.
Absolutely.
So I think that's an important point as well. Excellent. I have nothing else. I don't know, Mark, if you have anything else that you would like to share or anything you feel we've missed.
Uh, no, just again, the experience in Barcelona was fantastic, and the fact that it connected me not only to Mattia, but then to you and your organization has been great. I've loved watching or seeing your adventures on vacation with your family, and like we said, it's almost like a social media network now with Strava. It kind of shrinks the world a little bit, brings us all closer together, and I've learned a little bit about Copenhagen through, pictures and little conversations in the comments with you. So I think it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. Well, Mike, thank you for joining the call. I really appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
perfect. And
Good running to you.
we'll, of course, be back with more interviews with the guides and guests and partners in the future. Thanks a lot.
Gotta go, go, go.